C1. You are listening at FameTV.info. In the hospital, the smell of disinfectant filled the air. Ran left the doctor's office in high spirits. She was just about to make a phone call when her phone rang. She picked it up and her uncle's voice rang. You Ran, how are you and Mu Jiang? Is it all right? Why do you ask? I just heard that Mu Jiang brought a pot-bellied woman to the maternity exam the day before yesterday. Yu Ran instantly laughed. Did you think Mu Jiang was raising a mistress outside? Yes sir. Don't worry, even if all the men in the world cheated, Mu Jiang wouldn't. After hanging up, Yu Ran called Mu Jiang. The phone rang for a long time before answering. I'm very busy. Don't disturb me unless it's something important. That's it. Yu Ran didn't even have the time to speak before her voice turned cold and emotionless. She gripped the examination form tightly as the enthusiasm in her heart had dropped to the freezing point. After being married for 3 years, Mu Jiang had always been very gentle to her. However, recently his attitude had changed too quickly. Not only was his attitude cold, but he even couldn't wait to connect her phone with him. As he turned around while pondering, a shadow flashed in front of him and a gentle voice sounded in his ears, Sister. Yu Ran looked over and saw Xia Fei and a middle-aged woman standing beside her. Yu Ran frowned when she saw the look of disgust on Xia Fei's face. Her voice also turned colder as she said, Don't yell, I was the only one born in my mother. Xia Fei wasn't annoyed, instead she pursed her lips and smiled. Her voice was warm and gentle. Sis, are you here to see infertility again? What does it have to do with you? Aren't you going to ask me how I got to the gate of the pregnancy test? Xia Fei looked at Yu Ran provocatively and laughed. I'm pregnant. It's brother-in-laws. Yu Ran realized that she had a round belly after she said those words. It was obvious what Xia Fei intended to do to Mu Jiang. Yu Ran sneered and said, Are you crazy? You don't believe me? Look at this. Xia Fei pointed a checklist at Yu Ran. When Yu Ran saw the familiar calligraphy on the checklist, his expression changed drastically. How could this signature belong to Mu Jiang? 4 months ago, I was with brother-in-law that night. Brother-in-law was so brave and fierce. After tormenting me for an entire night, I became pregnant that night. My brother-in-law really likes this child, let me give birth to him, then you can give up the seat. Slut. Yu Ran was so angry that his whole body was shaking. He slapped his palm towards Xia Fei who suddenly fell to the ground. Io, my stomach. It was a slap to the face, but Yu Ran was startled when she saw Xia Fei fall to the ground with blood flowing down her pants. Xia Fei was sent to the emergency room by the medical staff. Yu Ran didn't dare to leave and followed her to the emergency room. After waiting at the door for a while, he heard footsteps approaching. It was his mother-in-law Lin Yuzhen. Why did Fei come to the emergency room? It's Miss Yi. No, it was Madame Mu who pushed it. The middle-aged woman who accompanied Xia Fei answered. Bitch, you're a chicken that doesn't lay eggs. Can you not give birth to yourself and not allow others to give birth? Lin Yuzhen slapped her. Lin Yuzhen had never liked her, so she hit him hard. Soon, Yu Ran's face swelled up. If she had thought before that she was lying, then her mother-in law's attitude had already explained everything. Yu Ran was about to faint from the suffocating feeling of despair in her heart. But at this time, the door of the operation room opened and a nurse came out to say that Xia Fei's child had not been saved. These words infuriated Lin Yuzhen to the extreme as she ran over, grabbed her hair and started punching and kicking her. Yu Ran felt like he was being struck by stars as he fainted all of a sudden. When she woke up, her eyes were all white. She tried to sit up, but she was in so much pain that she had to lean against the headboard to catch her breath. The door was pushed open and a man with gold-rimmed glasses came in. Hello, Miss Yi. I'm Director Mu's lawyer. A lawyer. Yi Yuran was stunned as he looked at the man in front of him. Yes, I am Director Mu's personal lawyer. Director Mu had entrusted me to discuss the matter of the divorce with Miss Yi. Divorce? Mu Jinyang wants to divorce me. Yi Yulan thought that he had heard wrongly. The lawyer walked over to the bed and handed her a document. This is the divorce agreement. Take a look at it. Yi Yuran's hands were shaking. She didn't expect Mu Jinyang would give her a divorce contract one day. She didn't look at the divorce agreement and just looked at the lawyer. Have Mu Jinyang come to see me. Let him speak to me personally. Director Mu is very busy, I don't have time. Busy, not free. Yi Yulan laughed. Since when did she and Mu Jinyang become so indifferent to the point that she couldn't even meet him? She closed her eyes, grabbed the phone on the bedside table and dialed. The other end of the phone was unable to connect. Since when did she and Mu Jinyang become like this? Cheating, divorce. The lawyer was still waiting for her. Miss Yi, please take a look at the agreement. I'm very busy. The attitude of the lawyer was unquestionable. After marrying Mu Jinyang for 3 years, who among the people beside him had not been respectful to her? But now, this lawyer's attitude was cold and harsh. Obviously, it was Mu Jinyang's intention. Yi Yuran picked up the divorce agreement and looked at the property split column. All of it belonged to Mu Jinyang before his marriage. When it was no longer divided, his eyes became sore. He had once said that she was everything to him, and everything to him was hers. However, it had only been 3 short years, and the love he had had was gone. Had Mu Jinyang finally revealed his true face, that he had raised a mistress behind his back and was pregnant? So she, the chicken that couldn't lay an egg, should have given up her seat, right? Feeling extremely bitter in his heart, Yi Yuran stopped looking at him. He raised his head and looked at the lawyer who was staring at him. Give me a pen. The lawyer opened his briefcase and handed a pen to Yi Yuran. Yi Yuran took the pen and added, Director Mu said that none of the jewelry that he bought for you can be taken away. Yi Yulan stared at the scene in front of her in a daze. She did not move for a long time. Just when the lawyer thought that she would refuse, she slowly said, all right. After throwing down the word, she quickly picked up the pen and signed her name onto the divorce agreement. The lawyer took the agreement and looked at it for a moment. Then, he turned around and left. There was a luxurious Aston Martin in the hospital parking lot. The window of the car was open to reveal an extremely handsome face. The lawyer walked in front of the car and respectfully said, Director Mu, Madam has signed. He signed it. The man slowly spat out 2 words and looked deeply at the lawyer's face. The lawyer looked at his uncertain face, his heart pounding. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't find a word to say. The man's deep gaze moved to the lawyer's side and looked into the dark night sky for a long while before spitting out 2 words, let's go. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.